Hi, I've been doing some more 3D drawing on the Kerr Stuart tattoo class, and I found myself kind of being drawn towards Stanhope. Now, I've been working off a copy of the original class GA drawing, which has been extremely useful. And this drawing by here, which is done on Design Spark Mechanical, shows the result of that. Obviously, we've just got boiler and saddle tank on this so far. It's one of those rabbit holes. You start looking at it and you find out more and more, and things change and change. Now, for instance, this saddle tank has got a very big filler on top. To the best of my knowledge, none of them were fitted with a filler this big, although this is what the original class GAs show. Certainly, every photo I've seen of any tattoos have a much smaller filler. So I've done a later or an amended drawing with a much smaller filler than this, more the right size. So it's been very educational. There are, of course, other small differences as well. I've also been looking at Stanhope's cab as she was in Penryn. Now, the cab she has at present is not the original cab. I suspect the original cab was as rotten as a carrot, and they probably dumped it, even if they ever had the original cab. But it's a sort of replica cab they've got on now, and it isn't quite the same as the original Penryn cab, which this is. Differences are slight spacing differences in the front spectacles, and the very much the curve of the cab cutout here is very different from the original. As I say, this is the whoops. Let's go back home on that. And this is the original profile. Now, this mess on the underside is a practical solution, because if this becomes a motorized model, the motor will have to go vertically in the firebox, which will be sat here, and then a gear train running forward. And of course, this loco had a Bissell truck in this position, pivoted about here, and it therefore clashes with the ash pan, and in this instance, the firebox. Now, in Penryn days, the boiler was dropped 6.5 inches from its original build, and since she's been rebuilt, her boiler has gone back up to the original position. However, for a model, I'm going to fit this, if I ever get round to finishing it, it'll be fitted with a radial axle box, which is sort of self-guiding and will fit in this slot. And as it moves from side to side, it'll also move in a gentle curve. So that's what this little lot's about. You can see there's a radius to that lot, and these pegs here will hold some springs, and there will be a a little plate that the springs act on, which will stay in position and bear onto the top of the moving the radial axle box. So that's what that's about. I had to go at printing it, and by accident deleted some vital supports. So as you can see, that didn't come out so well, and will need reprinting. However, in technical terms, it's a great success insofar as things have come out nice and square, and although everything is very thin, it's come out nice and flat, except where the supports were deleted, back here and back there. Steps have come out nicely, rivets have come out nicely. I'm very pleased with it. You can see, I think if I hold that up to the light, you can see how thin it is, how light shines through it. I obviously want it as thin as possible to get as much realism as possible. You can see the bunkers there as well, and the little brackets attached to the bunkers, printed with the bunkers, and those have the injector water feed valves on, and I've printed the steam pressure gauge on there as well, as you can see. So that's that. So although that print is absolute scrap, it proves the point. This is the pen ring boiler. Now, this required very, very little cleaning up, which was great, and it's just spray painted in black primer. I'm very, very pleased with the finish. The chimney is a separate print, as is the safety valve. Now, if you have a look at the safety valve and my finger behind it, you can see the spring. Let's see if I can get that there in focus. Let's see. You can see light coming through the spring there. So it is a real coil spring, and it's printed like that. Very pleased with how that's come out, and especially considering that's both the plastic print and a layer of spray paint. That's a very nice detail that's come out. The cross section of that spring is square. It's a square coil, and it's I think 0.25 millimeter square, drawn up in a helix. But the quality of that print is very, very nice. For prints like this, I print them at 10 microns. Now, I know that is in principle far, far finer than my Mars 2 Pro will print, but actually the proof is in the pudding, and that 10 microns, although it takes hours and hours and hours to do the print, gives me the lovely results that I'm so pleased with. So I get a very good quality out of the machine by doing that. So this is the lowered boiler, sitting 6.5 inches lower than the standard, which is very nice. And of course, to go with it in the printer at the moment is another saddle tank with a smaller filler, and that will sit on there like that. And of course the cab does that, and there are brackets on the front of the cab. In fact, also I made an error on this, 3.8mm lower to pick up the back of the saddle tank, and that amendment has been made on the one that's in the printer now. Other parts are a radial axle box. There we have tank balance pipe there, whistle. Now the valve wheel you see on the whistle just there, that valve wheel is, let me see if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, that valve wheel is 2mm diameter. The quality of print is again lovely on that. I hope not to obliterate it with paint, but we'll see. And that's the slipper plate to receive the underside of the springs on the radial axle. So, and that's just an early test print. So, the tattoo class, sorry, I forgot to mention this is 7mm, obviously, and 2-foot gauge, of course, Stanhope, and she was built in 1917 with a not quite an open cab, but no cab sheets as such. And she went to a contractor's company and was eventually bought by the Penryn Slate Company in, I think it was about 1934 or something like that. And she served about 11 years before being withdrawn. But when she went to Penryn, beg your pardon, when she went to Penryn, she had her boiler lowered, and I suspect it was for centre of gravity reasons more than anything else, because she was also fitted with balance weights, not balance weights, but ballast weights, also to lower her centre of gravity. And either at that same time or earlier, she was fitted with conventional cab sheets. I'd be interested to know when she was fitted with cab sheets. But a very interesting exercise, and I've learnt an awful lot more about the Kerr Stuart tattoos. I still have to draw up cylinders, and those cylinders will also be printed, and they can have brass tube inserts to take piston rods and valve rods. So that'll be easily enough done. And also the back head and regulator, reverser, things like that. The other difference with Stanhope in Penryn days compared to all the other tattoos is because she had her boiler lowered, they moved her handbrake to the back of the cab. And this was because with the reverser in the original position, the brake cross shaft would have fouled the ash pan. So that's a little bit of interesting progress we've been doing on the drawing board and on the 3D printer. But as I say, I really do like the valve springs. They're oh, there's a hair on there. I have to get rid of that. But it's done an amazing job on that. Yeah, hope it's of interest.